Welcome to this episode of the Gunman. This video is dedicated to teach people how to block primer correctly. So a quick look here at the different blocks I'm using. There's a couple of different convex blocks and we've just got a flat block there. I'm using the thin blocks. There's many different blocks on the market. You've got big wide ones, you've got convex, concave, you've got flexible blocks. So there's many different blocks you can use, but these are the ones that I use most of the time. Most of the time I don't usually get the chance to use these convex ones. It's usually just the flat ones that you need, but inside this curve on this door I decided it'd be better to use one of these blocks to get that shape correct. So 180 grit is the grit that I'm using. I've also sped it up here just to double speed to stop the video from getting too long. 180 grit I've decided to use. I've just found that will get it a bit straighter. You'll have less highs and lows, but you've just got to be careful in the next stage that you remove all of those 180 grit block marks. So you could decide to guide code it prior to blocking too. Personally, most of the time I don't do it. I've been doing this for a long time and I know what to look for, but if you're not really 100% confident, it's probably not a bad idea to use some guide coat. I've also gone over the entire repaired area, put 5 coats of primer over the repairs. I also checked it for pinholes, which it turned out there wasn't any tiny little pinholes that you may have. You'd want to fill that up prior to blocking. I've found that's the best way to do it, because if you put it in after, then you can be left with a slight high and a low spot. So always put your pinholes in first and check over it. So we're just going over it with the flat block now. You notice how I'm thatching it up, crossing it up a bit. You go one angle and then you go the other direction just to cross it up. Just be careful that you don't put too many lines in it, because you can put block marks in it if you keep blocking in the same direction. You also probably notice that I'm blocking with the direction of the car as to left and right. You don't want to do too much up and down. I do a bit of crossing, but not so much up and down, because you're not going to see any ripples that go up and down the car. You're going to see them that run the length of the car. So that's something to keep in mind too. This is a Porsche Cayenne is the name of the car. It's a pretty nice car, which is why I decided to get footage of the entire job that I did using the GoPro camera, which my subscribers will know is pretty standard for me these days. In the next in the following weeks, I'll be uploading the rest of this video, which will be preparing the blends, masking, and also painting. Everything apart from polishing, because it turned out that I didn't polish it. So feedback's always welcome. Give us some feedback, tell me what you think. So just continuing blocking with that flat block. I thought I'd leave the entire job as far as blocking goes, and I'd do a video just on blocking. So that start bit is me just at normal speed. This is all double speed. If you want to go back and have a bit more of a look at my technique at a touch slower, then you can go back to the start again and have a look. But the rest of it, you see what I'm doing here is I'm running my hands over it just to actually make sure there's no highs and lows. Another way of checking your highs and lows is to wet check it. You can get some wax and grease remover in an atomizer bottle, a squirter bottle. You can then squirt it over once you've blown all the dust off, and you'll be able to see the highs and lows, because it'll give it a bit of gloss, which is going to emulate the clear coat that you'll end up putting on it after. But I've personally found I can pick up most of the highs and lows just by feel. So I'm just, it turns out we are blending into that rear bumper, but I'm just masking it off just so we don't get some big 180 grit scratches into it. If you are extremely happy with the repair, you could probably choose to use 240 grit rather than 180 grit. It's just that the panel beaters that work at the place that I work at, they're not really the best, to be honest. So I usually like to put an extra coat of primer on and block it with 180. You just got to be careful you take those scratches out. So I'm back over to that convex block there. It's got the curve on it. And that was just for the inside angle there on that quarter panel, and then back to the flat block again for the flat surfaces. Once I've finished blocking, I like to go over, being that I like to put a lot of primer on, that's going to mean that you're left with some big thick edges. So I then go over those edges with the 180 grit or some 240 grit, as to make it a lot quicker to sand down. If you just go and buzz the rest of it down and try to sand those edges down with some 500 grit, it's going to take a hell of a lot of time. So I go over it first up with the 240 or the 180, and then go over the top of that with the 500, and then that's right to paint over. So that just about brings this job to an end for the blocking side of it. Hope you've learned a thing or two. There's a couple of clips at the very end to a couple of different videos of mine. Check them out if you haven't already seen them. So this is the job when it's done. Came out pretty nice. We ended up painting everything on this side apart from that fender. We blended into the rear bumper bar too. So thanks again for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.